Hi. So, last week's video did absolutely dog doo-doo, so this week I'm actually going to be doing something interesting, instead of just talking to a camera about thermodynamics and fluid mechanics for over 7 minutes. This week, I'm reviewing my mum's car.
So, like many people, I love my mother. And generally speaking, she's actually got a pretty good taste in cars. She wants to get a classic Mustang at some point in the future. She likes driving a car with a manual transmission, and she finds driving overall to be an enjoyable experience. However, her current car doesn't really encapsulate that ideology. Her current car is a 2008 Mitsubishi Outlander V6. Now, first of all, something needs to be mentioned. The main reason my mum got this car, or one of the main reasons, is because it's practical and comfortable, and it was something she could use every day. Not only that, but it also happened to be the car that she came across in her price range that she thought did everything she wanted to do. Bear in mind, she also bought it used, and at the moment, it's got a bit over 350,000 kilometers on it. Now, I have no doubts that will greatly affect my judgment of how it drives. However, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything just because of that. Now, the first thing I noticed when I first drove this car was the throttle had a very, very weird response. It is drive-by-wire throttle, so it's not a direct link from the pedal to the throttle body, and it's got some sort of weird delay. I'll demonstrate here. I'm coming up to a roundabout, slowing down to about 40 k's an hour. I'm on the throttle now. Okay, off the throttle, and then get on the throttle now. You can see there's a slight delay. Now, that wasn't a very good example, but basically there's some sort of delay if you're stopped, for instance, and you get on the throttle, say, once the light turns green, there's a solid second or so before the car actually starts to move. And that makes it genuinely difficult to drive smoothly, provided at least you want to go faster than the guy on the bicycle next to you. That's definitely the biggest problem I have with this car, and it's not the only one. Now, I have to say, I'm a bit biased on this. I don't like driving SUVs. I find the upright position makes me uneasy and disoriented, makes me feel like my center of gravity is 5 meters above my head, and I don't really like how big they are. Those things make me a little less confident in taking corners at speed. But even so, let's take it through some corners, see how it behaves. Well, the suspension is quite soft, and you can definitely feel there's quite a lot of body roll, but it's not too bad. The steering is actually quite positive. It's got good feedback, not much weight, but good feedback, and it's oddly responsive. I wouldn't expect a car like this to have steering like this, but it's quite responsive. The brakes have this odd oscillation in the pedal and sometimes in the wheel, like a sort of shaking. That tells me that the brake rotors front and rear are warped. And my mum has commented on them before. A couple of years ago, she got a mobile mechanic to change the oil, and he also insisted that he change the brakes too. So she got him to change the brakes too. However, since then, she's found that they just feel a bit crap. So I don't know what he's done, whether he's put the pads on incorrectly or what, but it's definitely done something to the way the brakes feel. The engine is a decent unit. It's pretty torquey, it's got plenty of low-down tug, and its power delivery is quite linear. It's mostly held back by that weird throttle mat, but other than that, it's a pretty good engine. The transmission is very typical torque converter slush box. It's not sluggish to shift per se, but it definitely hinders what little sense of responsiveness this engine has. It's also got these paddles behind the wheel for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Perhaps Mitsubishi thought people wanted to take their V6 Outlander to the weekend track day, as any sane or normal person would. Now that I've mentioned them though, I suppose I have to try them, so I will. Coming up to a junction now, so we're going to have to stop. I'll just flick it into manual mode and I'll see what it's like. It doesn't really make the transmission any sharper, and the shifts are no faster. It's also got quite a delay, but it's not bad. It's not bad. One thing I would like to point out about this car is that it's much more refined compared to what I'm used to with the Zara. It's much less wind noise in the cabin, although you might have noticed the mirrors make some quite loud wind noise. But aside from that noise, it's actually pretty okay. It's quite comfortable. So overall, it's an alright car to drive. There are a few things that I personally find a bit gross, and it's not a car I enjoy driving, but I don't think it's horrible. Furthermore, as I mentioned at the start, it's actually quite a practical car. The boot's quite large, and it's even got 2 extra jump seats, which I imagine could probably fit a couple of mid-sized toddlers, and it's also got a split tailgate. Moving forward into the main cab, you've got 3 storage cubbies in the dashboard, a little space to put stuff under these climate control dials here, and the seats are also quite plush and comfortable. It's also been quite reliable. The engine on multiple occasions has been running on a very concerningly low amount of oil, to the point where you can hear valve train noise, and yet once an oil change is done, it just takes it. It doesn't really care. So with all that stuff in mind, I can completely understand why my mum loves this car, and I know she loves this car. What about me though? Do I like this car? Well...
Hi, after talking with my mum about this video, she's requested I slightly alter my final answer. So, I think the car is fantastic and I have absolutely no problems with it at all. Thanks for watching.